Hi, and welcome to another demo. Uh, in this demo, we will show or demonstrate how we can install software from source. Uh, so far, so good. I mean, using package management system on your Linux distribution is good, and it's the recommended way of actually managing software. It's a good way because using apt or depending on your Linux distribution, whether it's yum or apt or dfn, as long as, or snap for that matter, as long as you're using it, it's good because updating the software, it's taken care of automatically if you choose to do that, or you can do it and everything is like it goes smoothly. But there are cases, and there could be rare cases where you want, the software that you want is not available, or the version that you want is not available on your Linux distribution's repository. For that case, you might need to download, you will need to download the software, for example, from the vendor's website or the developer's website, either on GitHub or whatever they have, wherever they're hosting their software. The reason for installing software from source might vary, and it could be, for example, that there is a security vulnerability that the vendor hasn't updated it yet. The vendor's version might be outdated, and the developer might have released the newer version that doesn't contain the vulnerability a long time ago. Another reason could be that it's a newer version with newer features that you might need, while that is not available in the old version that is hosted or available on in your Linux distribution's repository. So when installing software from source, we need, if it's usually, I mean, assuming that it's written in C, most of the programs for Linux are written in C, but that might not be the case. That in newer days, it might be Rust, and it might be Go, or it might be, it doesn't need to be compiled, or it might be software such as Python and so on. But most software are provided as C or C++, and we might need a C or C++ compiler for that purpose. All right. Uh, Ubuntu and Debian distributions, they provide they bundle a lot of the compilers in something called Build Essential, which includes also compilers for the C programming language. All right. Let's first install this package Build Essential. If it might not be available, it might not be installed on your system, so you might need to do that. If it's installed, it will let you know about it. For example, here it's installed on it's already installed, but if not, use the command sudo apt install build essential, giving it the -y option so that you don't need to that the installation doesn't ask you whether you want to install it, yes or no. All right. But suppose that we want to install the latest and stable version of Nginx web server, which by the time of recording this demo is Nginx 1.24.0. All right. Suppose we want to install that. Well, the first thing we need to do is get it from somewhere, and the appropriate or the correct way to get it is to get it from the Nginx uh, website directly. So let's do that. We download it. Let's check that if it's downloaded on the system using the ls command. We see, yes, we have it. This is the old one we were when we were showing dpackage, but this is the one that we want to install, which is from source. Usually, source has, you know, uh, it's compressed in gzip format. So The software comes compressed as star.gz, and the first thing we need to do is, of course, uncompress it by using the tar command. We'll go up here. We can see, you know, by using the tar command with the option X to extract, V for both, Z for saying that it's a gzip format, and the F stands for the file, which is this file that we want to uncompress. All right. Once we are done with uncompressing it, it will create a folder with the same name as the package that we downloaded, but without the tar.gc ending. All right. Let's check it out again. Using the ls command, we see here's the folder. This is the directory. It creates a directory for us. All right. Now we can proceed to configuring and compiling and installing Nginx, but the first thing we need to do is change directory to that directory. Okay. We enter that directory. Uh, and then we explore it with the ls command. We see that it has a lot of files, all right, but we're mostly interested in this script that is provided by the vendor, the .configure script. All right, and that gives us possibility to configure first before installing the software. All right, let's explore what features Nginx provide us by running that script, the .configure script with the with dash dash help command or option. We see here it has a lot of options. .configure dash dash help. It has a lot of options that we can configure our software with before installing it. So let's continue and explore. Um, you know, let's do it without any option to begin with. We run the .configure without any option, but we encounter a problem. We see that, hey, there's an error here. The HTTP rewrite module requires the PCRE library, which means that the PCRE library, as we were talking about in another demo regarding DPKG, when installing software from source, um, the configure cannot resolve any dependencies, but it will tell you the dependencies that it needs or the libraries that it needs. All right, it says you either have to provide the library on your system or otherwise use the dash dash without HTTP rewrite module uh, uh, um, and configure. We will do that. This is not advised. We will configure it without the missing dependencies. All right. As it suggests, it says that dash dash without module rewrite. This is not. We will disable it, but it's not wise to do that. As you see, any web server, HTTP server, will actually need a module to rewrite the addresses. So this is a mod an essential module, but for this demo's sake, we will disable it. All right. And now we run configure again. Here we see we disable it, run configure without this module. But again, we encounter another error. You see here it says the gzip module zlib library is missing. If you want to continue, you have to either disable it, you know, or you have to make sure that the zlib library is installed. We can, of course, install this library that it's asking for this dependency. But for this demo purpose, we will not do that again. We see that it complains about a dependency, in this case, zlib dependency. Okay, and it's telling us you can disable it if you don't want it, which is not advisable. It's good to have those libraries again because the zlib library is used by the HTTP server to compress data. All right. Now let's do the you know, now the configuration is complete. We see here summary, but these are not used. OpenSSL is not used, it's missing, and the lib is missing. We're not using it, and the PCRE, but it's configured, and it puts the application on user local. So we can run it from there if we want to, but the best thing to do is to now it's configured. It's not installed on the system, but it's just configured. So we have to um, um, compile it in order for us to be able to use it actually. So we can compile it with the make command, and let's do that. It says here here's where it puts it, where the application is, and now it has compiled it, and now we can actually run the application. All right, but instead of running the application, a good thing is to actually install it on the system. Even though we compile it, and it will make it available for us, and it says it's ready to put it on the system, um, and we can run it without actually installing it on the system. It's a good idea to install it on the system using the make install command. All right, sudo make install. This will move the compiled software and put it into the appropriate directory. In our case, user local nginx. All right, great. So far so good. Now nginx, it's installed under user local nginx, and we can start and running it. But before we do that, let's see if if there is anything running on port 80, because that's what nginx needs to be running it on port 80. We can use the netstat command for that purpose to see if there is any other software running on port 80. All right, so let's do that. We see that there is no software running on port 80 for the time being. The only software that's running is SSH and the DHCP and DNS client. That's all. Okay, let's once we are sure that no other server is running on port 80, we can start the server by using this command, user local nginx spin where the binary is, and run the binary from there. We can now check with netstat command again if it's running on port 80. Yes, we see that it's running on port 80. Good. So far, so good. There's a server running on port 80, and that's nginx. We can test if by using the wget command as a client, and connect to the server and see if it displays the welcome nginx homepage. See, here we have, thank you for using nginx. Yeah, nginx is running. Welcome to the nginx site. It's giving us the page. Good. nginx is running. Good. Now we have, you know, we have a brand new web server of type nginx that we can use as we will, as we wish. This concludes the demo. Bye bye.